The Dodgers are facing elimination. They're in Toronto getting ready for Game 6 with their ace, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, on the mound. I'm going to tell you how the Dodgers can still win this World Series. Also, the plan, if they can get to a Game 7, should get you very excited. And a change I want to see for Game 6. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got one in a parade. We got a parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Ohtani starts the 50-50 clock. Monkey magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Live from the heart of Los Angeles, this is Dodgers Dugout Live with your host, Doug McKain.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. I cover the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you're new to the show, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you want to support every single episode, hit that like button. Also, join the Dodgers Nation Discord. Go to gearup.la for all of our t-shirts and merchandise. And do me a huge favor, subscribe to the LA Sports Report. That's my new show dedicated to all LA sports, including the Dodgers. But welcome in late night edition of Dodgers Dugout Live. Of course, I could not help myself. I've gone live essentially every single day for the last 40 or 50 days, something like that. And that's because this is 24/7, 365, dedicated to Dodger baseball. And the first thing I wanted to get into that's going to lead the show off today is what we saw today in Toronto, where Dave Roberts challenged Hyeseong Kim. He challenged Hyeseong Kim to a race, and it did not go particularly well for Doc. Here, check this out.
I was supposed to start even and goes first to third.
This is what we needed.
That's what we need.
Yeah, me and Brett.
So I know you're doom and gloom, some of you, not all of you. I know a lot of people still believe. A lot of people saying Dodgers in 7, and say it with me, Dodgers Nation, Dodgers in 7. But from a vibe check standpoint, you heard at the very end of that clip, Freddie Freeman, that's what we needed. And I don't know if he means let Hyeseong Kim play, give the Comet a chance, or just lightening the mood, some levity. It's very serious, which it should be because this is the World Series. It's a great opportunity. It's a privilege to play in the Fall Classic. But let's not forget what brought this team home last year. It was Kike Hernandez and the we don't give a you-know-what mentality. And it felt like this offense, it felt like this team, it felt like this group was a little tired, was lifeless, was searching for something. And yes, when you give up home runs to start the game like Blake Snell did to Schneider and then to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., that's going to suck the life out of the stadium. That's going to suck the life out of the team because offense creates energy, as Kike Hernandez said after the game. But this small clip where Dave Roberts, first of all, if Dave doesn't fall, I'm pretty sure he maybe wins that race. It shows the team is still loose. I think it was a reminder to the group that this is a kid's game, that this is a dream that they are living, and they have a great opportunity. And that was one of a guy in Dave Roberts who has one of the most famous stolen bases in history that just straight up ate dirt, that ate ish for in that race. And, pray for Dave Roberts' hamstring there. But I think the vibe levels are up. I think the vibe levels are getting immaculate. I think that they're loose. And I think that was a calculated move by Dave Roberts. So for the I hate Dave Roberts, for the Dave Roberts should be fired crew out there that is not as big as it was years ago, but I know there's still some of you out there, that's an example of Dave Roberts doing something that won't show up in a game, that won't show up in a decision making, but the decision was, hey, I'm going to have some fun with this. I'm going to give the boys some life, and we are going to try to reset mentally. And there's the lightheartedness to it. And I think this team needed that. I think that it was calculated. I think you could probably make the case that even Dave Roberts falling was calculated just because it would make the moment even that much lighter. And, hey, if this team goes on to win tomorrow, win Game 7, or they look like there's more smiles on their faces, the energy, the overall vibe of the team is better, I think you could point to something pretty small like this, and hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for this Dodgers team. But welcome into Dodgers Dugout Live, the number one Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. I will be getting to comments later, so keep firing away in the comments section. But let's get motivated. Let's put Game 5 in the past and think of Game 6 and potentially Game 7. And we're going to hear from Dave Roberts from Toronto and some of the things he said that are going to be very relevant to what we could see in the next, hopefully, couple of games. But let's not forget who this team is. They're the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's not forget who's on this team. Lots and lots of World Series champions. Lots and lots of multi-time World Series champions. Let's not forget the purpose that this team is playing for. That's trying to establish a dynasty, attempting to do something that's very rare that only 14 teams have done in the history of Major League Baseball, and that is winning back-to-back World Series titles. Hasn't been done in 25 years. Let's not forget this team is trying to send the legendary Clayton Kershaw out with a World Series title as he rides off into the sunset. I saw him yesterday walking out with his family. There was a great sense of appreciation and gratitude for being on the Dodgers and being in the World Series. And he did spend an extended period of time on the Dodger Stadium field when everyone was gone, and he was soaking it all in. And even though that was his last game at Dodger Stadium, hopefully tomorrow is not his last game as a pro. I've had a countless number of Dodgers players tell me off camera that winning Clayton Kershaw a World Series is very important to them. It is absolutely a motivating factor for this group. Let's not forget that the bullpen arms have number 51 on their hat to represent Alex Vesia, who is not on this roster as he deals with a family emergency. So this team is a team that's playing with purpose, that has a goal that spans bigger than just winning another World Series. And I think that's important to remember, that even though the last two games have been about as bad as you can think of when it comes to consecutive postseason losses in Dodgers history, a lifeless offense, combined to score 3 runs, errors, missed double plays. We'll dive into them in a little bit. Yeah, it was not great baseball by this Dodgers team, but they still have an opportunity to do something special, just like they did last year against San Diego Padres, just like they have done through parts of their history when the odds are stacked against him. So let's not forget, these are the Dodgers we're talking about. This is the organization where Vince Scully said that in the history of the Brooklyn, the Los Angeles Dodgers, nothing ever comes easy. Anything worth having isn't easy. The difference between impossible and possible lies in a man's determination. That is a quote from the great Tommy Lasorda. And I want to kick this show off with some Tommy Lasorda motivation.
And I see that same thing in this room right now. I see a great team. But you got to do it together. You got to play for the name on the front of your shirt and not for the name on the back of your shirt. When you got an opportunity where there's a tying or winning run on second base and nobody out, your job is to get that guy to third base. Somehow, some way, and you got to get him to third base. If you don't, you're playing for the other team. What trouble is for you to bunt the ball or hit the ball to the right side? We had a situation here not too long ago. We had runners at second and third and nobody out. And the infield is playing back. Now the guy hitting should hit a ground ball to second base with one run coming in. Now that guy moves from second to third with one out, hit another ground ball, and you got 2 runs. You give up 2 outs for 2 runs. The guy didn't knock him in. I'm bringing that point up to let you know, if you want to win the championship, you got to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. If you believe this is a great team, you'll practice like a great team. And if you practice like a great team, then you'll play like a great team. And if you play like a great team, then goddamn it, you're going to win. It's up to you guys. You guys are going to determine the fate of this ball club. And I'll tell you, I see a lot of talent here. We're playing for a great organization. You new fellas here who come here for the first time, just remember one thing. You might have played with other teams, that's the big leagues. But when you come with the Dodgers, it's the major leagues. You got to be proud of the word Dodgers. You got to represent the Dodgers in the highest degree of class, dignity, and character wherever you go. And by golly, we'll be celebrating in October. Thank you very much.
Makes you want to run through a brick wall, gives you goosebumps, gives you chills. That is the type of mindset that this Dodgers team needs to have, where you are going to determine the outcome of this game because you are the team that has better players, that has a better roster. And yes, it could turn out not that way, but if this team plays to their capabilities, to their abilities, they should do just that. And I look at a Dodgers team heading into Game 6 with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has pitched back-to-back complete games with another opportunity to do something special. And the wild thing about the state of the series as we approach Game 6 is I see someone in the comments saying the guys that aren't Japanese need to step up. Well, first and foremost, Freddie Freeman did hit a walk-off home run in extra innings, but there is some truth to the fact that if you don't get an all-time performance where Shohei Ohtani has 2 home runs, has 2 doubles, 4 extra base hits, reaches base 9 times, if you don't get that performance from Shohei Ohtani in Game 3, and you don't get the complete game from Yamamoto in Game 2, that this series could already be over because of the fact that, for the most part, a lot of guys have not contributed the way that you had hoped they would have so far in this series. But, yeah, Dave Roberts, by the way, when was the last time his uniform has ever been that dirty? When was the last time? It was great to see Hyeseong Kim on base, too, by the way, touching a bag. And no, the lineup shakeup is most likely not going to be Hyeseong Kim getting an opportunity to be in the starting lineup. But that is where I want to start with this one. Let's hear from Dave Roberts, who talks about the lineup, who talks about the plan heading into Game 6 and what we could see potentially in Game 7. And I'm going to tell you the lineup change that I want to see, that I pushed for after Game 4, and I want to see this in Game 6. By the way, if you watch every episode, you'll notice, or listen to every episode on the podcast, you'll notice that after Game 4, what I pushed for was Will Smith to be moved up to the 2 hole. And I got that. And that's because I was hearing that was a possibility. So you always you got to listen to all the little breadcrumbs around here, because sometimes I try to tell you without telling you, and that is definitely a move that I think we'll see continue. Will Smith batting the 2-hole makes the most sense, but does it also make sense to move Mookie even further down in that Dodgers lineup? But here was Dave Roberts today in Toronto talking about the Dodgers' plan for Game 6, what we could see in Game 7, and some changes we could see for tomorrow. And then we come back, we're going to get into those changes I want to see as well.
Row in the front.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for your time. You and Kiki have talked a little bit about some of the players being in between in their at-bats, like, wanting to hammer a fastball but guarding against the breaking pitch. How do you change that? How do you fix that this weekend?
You know what? I think, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. I'm sure our guys too. I think it's more of, all that being said, intent, mechanics. I think right now, when we got to find a way to win one game. And I could dive into my thoughts, but I think at the end of the day, they've just got to compete and fight in the batter's box. And it's one-on-one, the hitter versus the pitcher, and that's it. I think that, that sort of mindset is all I'll be looking for, and, and expect good things to happen from that. Yep.
Sonia, third row in the middle.
Hey, Dave. Could you see any more lineup changes to try to spark something, or is the way you see it, it kind of has to be on those 9 guys to get something?
I might change it up a little bit, but I'm contemplating, but I'm still kind of up in the air. So it could be a little bit of a change.
And you talked yesterday about the possibility of Shohei being available in relief. Could that be as soon as tomorrow, Game 6, or?
We'll see how he comes in tomorrow. But, right now, obviously, when you're facing elimination, then you've got to have those conversations. So whatever it takes for us to win tomorrow, and obviously, Yama's going, and then we're going to do whatever we can to put our best foot forward on the run prevention side, and then on the creation side and scoring runs too.
And this is a hypothetical, since you'd have to get to a Game 7, but if you get there, you don't use him tomorrow, to kind of, I guess better use like the two-way rule with him. Would you consider using him as an opener instead of in relief?
I think we'd consider everything, and it's more of just kind of doing whatever we can, Sonia, to get through tomorrow, and then pick up the pieces, and then see what's the best way to attack a potential Game 7. So everything should be on the table, and will be, for sure.
Questions? We'll go to Bob here on the third row.
Hey, Dave, with everything you guys have gone through this year with the injuries, the pitching problems, on your way out here, do you ever think, hey, it's supposed to wind up this way? It wasn't supposed to be easy. This is only natural.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm in good spirits. Our coaches are. What better way to win the World Series in Game 7? But we got to win tomorrow. And the thing that's encouraging for me is I know I gave our players an option to not work out today, because of, the long series and 18 innings and travel and all that stuff. And not one guy took the option. So that was pretty exciting for me, and just speaks to where these guys are at, that, they realize that the job's not done, and we're going to keep going and keep fighting.
In the back row.
Hey, Dave, you touched on mindset a little bit, so I was wondering, what do you think the right way to approach a back against the wall situation is? Do you need to have that little extra fight with the season on the line, or do you want to keep it not too high, not too low, play the same game as always?
I think elimination games, which we've had a lot of experience with, is all mindset. I really do. It's fight or flight. It's whatever adage or saying you want to kind of come, leave it all out there. It's certainly not war. I'm not trying to compare that to war, but in our world, in our small world of baseball, it is war, and so that's the mindset for me. It's all mindset.
Kirsten on the left side.
Dave, Freddie was talking about it last night, just kind of going back to 2024, in which the NLDS forcing that, or game 4, then forcing a game 5 against the Padres. When you think about just what you guys learned from that one, is there something that either you see in this team that maybe was similar to kind of how you guys were able to fight back in that series to win it, so then, of course, move on, or what just kind of stands out to you about that moment that you could take into tomorrow?
I think in that moment and other moments like that, the urgency of every play. I think that's something that we're in a position right now, we don't have any margin. And so with that, everything is going to be heightened. So I think that the extra focus that we need to have will be there tomorrow night. And so that's something as a takeaway for me in some of these elimination games.
Back row in the middle of the room.
Hi, Skip. Thank you for your time. Back to Shohei, I'd like to make sure, so you haven't discussed about pitching with him yet?
Not yet. We're going to talk about that today when we're out on the field.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ron, here in the front.
Looking back and trying to figure out some of the causes of the hitting struggles, do you think just the format and the week layoff the batters had between games was disruptive from the routine?
You know what, Ron? I don't think so. I don't think so. And you know, even if it was, I wouldn't say it was.
Please stop with that layoff thing. I mean, come on. We've been playing for over a week now, and that's just a terrible excuse, in my opinion, even if there's going to make that excuse. But I don't think he was. But let's break this down from top to bottom, and let's start with any potential changes that he could make to the lineup. So I got one of my changes from Game 6, and that was to put Will Smith in the 2-hole. It's not like it paid very many dividends. It's not like this Dodgers offense went nuclear. They scored just one run. They only had one opportunity with runners in scoring position. But the question is, does Mookie Betts stay in the 3-hole, or does he move down in the lineup even more? Because when Dave moved Mookie to 3rd, it was the first time since September of 2021 that he had bat lower than 2nd. Would you shake things up that much in a Game 6? Because numbers-wise, there's nothing that would say that Mookie is on the verge of breaking out from a slump. I mean, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm going to give JD Martinez a private jet to Toronto, give him $250,000 to spend the day with Mookie Betts in a 5-star hotel to try to see if he can talk some hitting with him, because from my sources, what I've heard on Mookie Betts is you're starting to see the lower back shoulder drop, and that was a way to try to hit the splitter, tried to hit those breaking balls down the zone, and that the same bad habits that has led to Mookie Betts having his worst overall offensive season of his career have creeped back into the mechanics of his swing. And you heard Adrian Gonzalez talking about it. Just don't try to get underneath. I mean, try to find a way to hit a line drive, to put the ball in play. And just looking at Mookie Betts in batting practice today, it looks like there were some F4s, right? Some pop flies. And that's just not the approach that Mookie Betts needs to have, because he's just not the guy that's going up there and is a threat to have an extra base hit. This postseason, Mookie Betts is 15 for 64, hitting .234 with a .648 OPS. He has 3 extra base hits in the wild card round when he went 3 doubles in the wild card round clincher. Since the wild card round, Mookie Betts has exactly 1 extra base hit. That came in Game 3 of the NLCS. But since, he has had 0 extra base hits. And to have a guy like that with those kind of numbers batting 3rd in your lineup when you need the offense to find some type of spark, it's at the point where you're just saying, we're going to have a guy batting there just because of the name on the back of his jersey, because of what he means to this franchise overall. You have 7 years left with him. But as far as what would be the best lineup that would give the Dodgers the best chance to score runs, it's not having Mookie Betts in the top 4. Would they be willing to be that bold to shake things up that dramatically this late in the postseason? Probably not. But the truth is, if you wanted to have the very best optimal lineup tomorrow, it would have Mookie not batting in the top 4. If I was Dave Roberts, my lineup tomorrow would look like Shohei Ohtani batting leadoff, Will Smith batting second, Freddie Freeman batting third, Teoscar Hernandez batting cleanup, Max Muncy batting 5th, and Mookie Betts batting 6th. Kike 7th, and then this is the main realistic change I want to see in Game 6. I was frustrated. I was a little annoyed to see that the big lineup shakeup for Game 5 was to put Alex Call in the lineup in place of Andy Pages. And he did draw a walk, but he also had some bad at-bats, where he looked overmatched, check swinging, in between swings, and he's a guy that's going up there that's trying to draw a walk, which, I mean, when you look at the approach of some of these Dodgers hitters, it was respectable. But the lineup that I wanted to see in Game 5 included Miguel Rojas, because Miguel Rojas is a guy who, just talking to people within the Dodgers, he's a guy that's going to give you a quality at bat that is contagious, that is contact oriented. And you hear a lot about Miguel Rojas' leadership skills and how he could be a future manager one day. And just getting to know Miguel Rojas over the years now, I can attest to that. This guy is a baseball savant, the way that he sees the game, the way that he talks about the game. And from what I was told yesterday is that Miguel Rojas can't really have the leadership level impact unless he's in the lineup, because he's trying to take at-bats and get information from pitchers and bestow that information to his teammates. And he can't do that unless he's in the lineup. So I was frustrated to not see Miguel Rojas starting at second base. And the thought process was that Tommy Edman's ankle isn't good enough to be in center field full time for the last couple of games of the season. So that was the impetus for that decision. And Alex Call being added to the lineup really did next to nothing to providing a spark and getting a lineup baton passing mentality going. So I want to see Miguel Rojas in the lineup. And if that means even not going with Tommy Edman and you keep Kike Hernandez in center and Alex Call in left, then so be it. Because Tommy Edman, he's been awful in the World Series. Tommy Edman, look, you can live with not getting results, but his at-bat quality has been the worst on the team in this stretch. And we love Tommy Tanks. Waited last year was incredible for this team. I'm not taking anything away from the dude or the player, but if we're just being honest, and that is what I feel a responsibility to you guys. That is what I do. You guys know that this is the Keep It 100 Dodgers show. This is where we're just trying to find the truth and the reality of everything that's transpiring. The truth is the at-bat quality from Tommy Edman, the way that he's over-swinging on certain pitches, the way that he's expanding the zone, especially with 2 strikes. He just not seeing the ball well. And yesterday, the Dodgers had exactly one opportunity with runners in scoring position. One opportunity with runners in scoring position, and it was Tommy Edman at the plate, and that came in the 4th inning. It's a 1-1 count. He sees a slider in the top of the zone, just pops it out to shortstop. I mean, we're talking about a expected batting average of almost 0. And then you look at later in the game when the Dodgers had another opportunity in the 7th inning after Teoscar Hernandez reached on an infield single to third. Tommy Edman grounds into a 5-4-3 double play, and that ended the inning. And you look at the pitch. It was a 3-2 count. He's seeing just sliders and splitters that whole entire at bat. It was a slider that you savage left up, and he hits into a double play. So, look, if he can play center field, I am all for leaving Tommy Edman on the field just because it could just be his very next at bat. He has a big moment, right? And I know that he's capable of that. And guys can snap out of slumps in a heartbeat. So ideally, I want to see Tommy Edman on the field in the lineup. I just want to see him in center field and have Miguel Rojas at second base. And then Will Smith batting second and Mookie dropped in the lineup. I mean, that is the optimal order. It really is. It really is, if we're being completely honest. Will they be that bold? They did make a move to go to second with Will Smith. They did bench Andy Pajes. Maybe you shake things up. My spider senses tell me that you're still going to see Mookie towards the top just because he's Mookie Betts, and you never know when he's going to break out of a slump. But just as far as overall lineup construction, to have a guy with a OPS under 700 that hasn't hit a home run since September 9th, that has 4 extra base hits this entire postseason and 64 ABs, 3 of which came in one game in the wild card round, to throw that guy in your top 3, you're really setting yourself back, especially when you add the fact that you're going with this decision to have Shohei Ohtani bat at the top of your lineup as a leadoff hitter when he's getting next to no opportunities with runners in scoring position because the bottom of the Dodgers lineup is getting vastly outplayed by the bottom of the Blue Jays lineup. If the Dodgers go on to lose this series, I'm going to do a show with like the top 10 reasons why. And the more we talk about it, the more it becomes maddening when you kind of just look at how things are playing out for this team and the reason why they're down in this series 3-2. Just the lineup construction with Shohei Ohtani at the top, guys doing nothing at the bottom of the lineup, and then you got a guy in Mookie Betts that's struggling mightily, that if we were basing on just numbers would not even be under any consideration to bat in the top 3 of a team's lineup, only if you're just going with the pure hope that he can recreate the production that has been familiar to him through his entire career. So I'll digress on that, but now you guys know what I want to see from a lineup standpoint. Next thing I want to talk about is what Dave Roberts said about what could happen in Game 6, where, look, it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The dude's a straight-up killer. Are you going to get 9 innings from him? I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not going to go Derek Jeter and say that it won't happen because he is Yoshinobu MFing Yamamoto. But realistically, you should be able to say, okay, 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs. But then you also have an Emmet Sheehan, a Roki Sasaki. You have some top-level guys. And then if you want to go deeper into that and burn some of those other guys, if it's a really tight game, and you still have to play for Game 7. So I think you're going to get a special performance from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I really think that the way he's wired, the DNA that he has, he's a guy who had one of the coldest quotes that we've seen from a Dodger ever when he said that, hey, losing is not an option. Look, they kind of dodged a bullet in Game 3. Yes, he did warm up, and that does take its toll a little bit, but they did not have to use him. And I want to also point out something about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And just getting to know Japanese media members and getting to know ones that actually cover the MPB, like this guy's reputation is Kurt Schilling, is Madison Bumgarner, is all-time NPB postseason GOAT. When the lights get bright, he pitches better. If you look at his splits against him, typically in Major League Baseball, the third time you're facing a pitcher, his numbers should decline. He gets better as the game goes along. The opponents, their numbers go down the more times he faces him because he's right in that book. He's getting the information. He's reading swings, and that's why he can have success deep into starts. And I remember talking to Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Seoul, South Korea, after he had his first appearance, his first outing, and it was a rough start, and asking him, hey, you're built for big games. You have a reputation as a big game pitcher. And he told me, when it's time for a big game, basically paraphrasing after the translation, when it's time for a big game and that time comes, he'll be ready. And that was basically him saying, hey, that's the regular season. Even though it was Seoul, South Korea, even though it was his first big league start, that was not the World Series or the Japan Series. And I go back to 2023. In 2023, Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitched in Game 6 of the Japan Series with his team facing elimination. The Oryx Buffaloes were down 3-2 to the Hanshin Tigers. And what did Yoshi do? He threw a complete game with 138 pitches to force Game 7. In that game, he set a new Japan Series record with 14 strikeouts. If you gave me any pitcher on the planet tomorrow, including Paul Skeens, I would take Yoshinobu Yamamoto because the dude's built for this. He's built different, and he lives for these moments. That should give you some confidence. Now, as far as Game 7, Dave Roberts talked about Shohei Ohtani and everything being on the table. A couple thoughts here. If Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch in Game 7 and Shohei Ohtani has not been pitching on 4 days rest or anything like that. I mean, this is a guy who he's gotten a lot of rest throughout the year in between starts. Would you use him as a reliever late in the game to close things out? Remember, one of my predictions was he would get multiple saves this postseason, has not gotten one. But depending on how tomorrow goes, if the offense comes alive, if Rocky's not as stressed and he has gotten some rest now, do you use Shohei Ohtani as an opener? Because Tyler Glass now has experience now coming out of the bullpen. We saw in the Phillies series. And if you have Shohei Ohtani as an opener, let's say he goes 2 innings, he stays in the game with the Ohtani rule. He can go right to DH. Tyler Glass now can pitch 3 innings. Is Blake Snell truly available? That's the big question. He did say after yesterday that he would be available for Game 7. We'll see. And like I said, this is all hypothetical. You got to get to Game 7, but hey, this is what this show's about, right? I mean, we talk about the future, and a lot of times that stuff comes true. And Roki Sasaki could be available. So just imagine if you could somehow win Game 6. Bats come alive. You find a way to gut that one out. You find a way to tie this series up. All the pressure immediately goes on Toronto. Oh, no, not again. Oh, no, Drake calling out Shohei Ohtani on his Instagram. You know how bad that Drake curse is. And then we've got Max Scherzer, a 41-year-old Max Scherzer, going up against a Dodgers team that's going to have some re-energized, reinstilled confidence, having won Game 6 with a path to a win, including Shohei on the mound, Glass now, maybe even Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki. I'm just saying, you got to win Game 6. And in that Game 6, I think you have the best pitcher on the planet in that game because, let's be honest, his performance in Game 2, that was the most impressive performance in all of Major League Baseball for the entire season, any team. And you got that guy going for you. It just comes down to the bats. Now, the other option is if Shohei Ohtani comes out in a reliever role, which I think is another possibility, especially if Roki Sasaki, depending on what he has to do in Game 6. Shohei Ohtani, if he comes out, I think it's got to be a save situation just because, I mean, Dave said at the beginning of this postseason he hasn't caught a fly ball all year. He really kind of shot down the possibility of him being used as an outfielder. We know Shohei's willing to do it. He did it with the Angels, but to use him in a middle inning and have him go to the outfield, especially in a tight game, I mean, hey, baseball is a sport where you see something every day that surprises you and shocks you. It would shock me. Like, it would absolutely shock me if you would see that. So I think it's either use him as an opener or use him to get the final 3 outs. And if he, for whatever reason, blows it and the game's still tied, then I think you'd have the conversation about having him in as an outfielder. But the beauty of using him as an opener is you still have that Ohtani rule that would still apply. And he'd go and focus on DHing. So that's kind of where they're at from that standpoint. But hey, the pitching, it lines up where if it gets tied, the advantage goes right back to the Dodgers. It really, really does. Now, all right, I'm going to tell you guys some numbers you need to know. And I see some comments here. So welcome to a little Dodgers Nation After Dark early morning edition of Dodgers Dugout Live here, #1 Dodgers show and Dodgers Show on YouTube. $10 super chat from Roberto. Cheer up, Dodgers fans. It's not over till it's over. Woo! All right, we got I hope the Dodgers come back and win. We talk about how Mookie can correct his batting mechanics. Look, the thing about Mookie Betts is he's not a guy that's going to strike out a ton. It's just making bad contact. And for Mookie, it all starts in the timing and his hips and getting into his swing. And I think for Mookie, you're just seeing more of an uppercut type of swing. If he takes a bat-to-ball approach where he's just trying to get to the baseball, especially on the outer half, I think good things start to happen, and I really do. But for him, it's a big feel thing, and that's the thing about Mookie is he finds hit cues that work, and they last for a while, and then when he loses them, he has to find it again. And that's kind of the thing about Mookie is he's got to find those hit cues and just has to feel it. But I do think for him, when he really starts to struggle, you start to see really, really bad contact, and that's the concerning thing. But here's some numbers you need to know. The Dodgers, they trail 3-2 this series, heading back to Toronto. Of the 31 teams that faced a 3-2 deficit, only 8 came back to win. Only 8, but if you look at those teams that have come back to win, you start to think, okay, Dodgers aren't that different from some of those teams. The 2019 Nationals, they're the most recent. Even before that, the 2016 Cubs went to Cleveland. The 1979 Pirates did it to the Orioles. 68 Tigers at St. Louis. 58 Yankees, 52 Yankees, 34 Cardinals, and 26 Cardinals. So it has happened. The odds are stacked against you. There's no doubt about that. But it has happened, and it's happened recently as 2019. Now, you kind of go deeper into it. With the series tied at 2-2, the Game 5 winner, they've won 46 of 68 times, 67.6%. Now, in the current format with a 2-3-2, teams that take a 3-2 lead after winning Game 5 on the road before going home for Game 6 and 7, they've gone on to win 20 of 27 times. That's almost a 75% clip. So, yes, odds are stacked against you, but it has happened. Now, the big difference in this series, the Dodgers' rotation ERA for their starters at 2.54, bullpen ERA at 4.56. How can you start to mitigate that? Well, hopefully they've learned their lesson where if it's a situation with Blake Trinan, you have to consider your options. If that's a Jack Dreyer, if that is, Edgar Enriquez didn't inspire much confidence, but I think going with Dreyer over Blake Trinan should be the move, if we're being completely honest. And even so, of all the guys that came through, was Clayton Kershaw that did it in the 12th inning in Game 3. So, honestly, I would consider that. I would take Clayton Kershaw in relief over Blake Trinan right now. I think Blake Trinan, you're almost guaranteed for something bad to happen. Hopefully that's not the case, but I think that's where they're at. Now, another thing to look at, too, is the Dodgers have had some bad luck. And Blake Snell talked about it yesterday. Some of the hits against him were bad luck hits as far as exit velo. The Schneider home run, 90 miles per hour off the bat. Things like that. Some of the expected batting average, like the Varsho. You expect to find a way to be on the right side of that. Well, the batting average on balls in play in the Dodgers' last 3 series is 265. That's 13 points below league average in the postseason. The Blue Jays' BABIP, though, is at 305. So they've been luckier than the Dodgers. Dodgers have been bad luck. The Blue Jays have had good luck. And at some point, that starts to even out. Will it even out the last couple games? That remains to be seen. Now, other big difference in this series, the strikeout rate. Dodgers striking out at a 25% clip, Blue Jays at a 16% clip. And that is something that you need to change. Kike Hernandez said that the bad at-bats are snowballing right now, that they're getting pitches to hit, they're just missing them, they're expanding the zone, and especially with 2 strikes. So I think what you want to see for tomorrow and hopefully Game 7 is you just want to win every pitch, win every inning. Try to create rallies and compete. That is the big difference, is you're just not seeing competing. And competing is, hey, there is a slider and a splitter that's diving out of the zone. Let's lay off it. And we'll lay off it by trying to foul off some pitches later in the at-bat. If we strike out, fine, but let's try to see 6 pitches. And the more times you can foul pitches off, the more times you can lay out pitches, it works the pitch count up for the pitcher that you're going against. And also, the more times you see a pitch, the higher the probability that eventually you're going to make good contact and something good will happen. So I think they need to have some just overall, hey, we're not going out there and overly thinking about mechanics, overly thinking about trying to get slug. We are just going to compete. The slug's going to come natural. And the Dodgers, their hallmark has been play discipline, right? Not expanding the zone, and they just have done a poor job of that. So I think fatigue is a factor. It always is on the mind, right? So I do think a day off is going to help them from that standpoint. I think you're going to see better at bats. They've been a better team on the road offensively. So, I mean, outside of Shohei Ohtani. So I hopefully that's the case. Now, other kind of numbers to get into in this series, the Dodgers, they're hitting .214 with a .666 OPS against the Phillies, Brewers, and Blue Jays. And this is a Dodgers team that was second behind the Yankees for most runs scored. And in this series, the Dodgers have been outscored by the Blue Jays 29-18. The Blue Jays hitting .261, slugging .389 with a .341 on base, a 105 weighted runs created plus. So the overall lineup for the Blue Jays has been 5% above league average. The Dodgers in this series hitting .201 with a .296 on base and a .354 slug. And they've been 21% below average offensively. So the Blue Jays have been the superior team offensively, and then they've been the superior team in the clutch with timely hitting. The Blue Jays this series, the runners in scoring position, hitting .282 with a .392 on base, a .436 slug, and 51 plate appearances. The Dodgers, meanwhile, hitting just .200. They're 6 for 30 with runners in scoring position and just 36 plate appearances. So I think what I want to see tomorrow is, of course, you want to come through with runners in scoring position. You want to get those big hits. A lot of times that's what determines who wins these games. But I just want to see them create opportunities, because if you create opportunities, you're putting pressure on the pitcher. The pitch count is going up. You're seeing more pitches. You're getting more comfortable in the box. The big concern for me has been the amount of opportunities. You got one plate appearance with runners in scoring position. I mean, Trey Savage was great. He was all-time great. 12 strikeouts, no walks. But the Dodgers at bat quality made him greater than he was because he didn't get to his 90th pitch until the 7th inning. So create those opportunities. And as Kike said, hits create energy. And he was the only guy that got a home run, right? I mean, he's the guy who hit deep. Other ones that we got to know about, the Dodgers, they're 5-4 on the road when facing elimination under Dave Roberts. They're 5 on the road. So as far as overall elimination games, the Dodgers, they've done really well with Dave Roberts. They really have. They've won 13 of 20. The rest of Major League Baseball since 2016 is 78-96. So not only have they done great on elimination games, on the road, they're 5-4 when facing elimination. 5-4. The rest of Major League Baseball since 2016 is 27-47. The Dodgers, you won 2016 NLDS Game 5, of course. Then Kershaw closed things out in D.C. 2018, they won the NLCS Game 7 on the road. The Puig big home run. Shout out to my friend. 2020 NLCS Game 5 was at Globe Life Field. That technically counts. 2021 NLDS Game 5 in San Francisco. Max Scherzer, dead arm. And then 2024 NLDS Game 4 in San Diego. So they have a really rich history of coming through in these games, and hopefully that will be another example of that. But my big hope is that this Dodgers team, with the day off, with some lineup tweaks, with a dominant start from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, can find a way to keep this series alive, keep this season alive, and in Game 7, anything can happen. But all right, guys, let's open it up to you. I want to hear all your takes here. I'm going to spend some time taking a lot of your takes. So I'm excited about that here on the 7th inning stretch.
The 7th inning stretch.
All right, what's up? Vamos Dodgers. We got BC. What's up? Send it to Game 7. Dodgers need Yasiel Puig hitting second. We've got we are going to win tomorrow. Yeah, by the way, we were sent a lot of offseason topics. Like, I'm sure. Even if they win this weekend, we'll talk about a Tarek Skubal trade, things like that. Just a thank you for your hard work. 999. Frank Levine, that means a lot. I've got a chance to meet a lot of you guys at the stadium. Tons and tons of people, and you guys are awesome, man. You guys motivate me even more because of how dedicated you are to this team. And everyone I've met, you guys are awesome. We've got Keith Potter, D-Mac, you're throwing too many big numbers at me. Don't matter. Dodgers in 7, LFG. I like it. I like that. Yeah, and George Springer, the cheater, is going to be back tomorrow. 90% of you said Dodgers in a sweep. Drake curse is real. Yeah, look, like I said on the preview show, like I'm still shocked that I did not know Drake liked Major League Baseball. I did not know that. I knew he liked basketball and football. I did not know Drake liked Major League Baseball. I thought that I didn't know he liked the majors. I thought he liked the minors. Okay. Vladdy is a superstar. Sure, we got our own superstars, but yep, you got to tip your cap. But yeah, I mean, and D-Mac, we're playing too much sloppy baseball. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they're real. Like the play that irked me the most on the rewatch was Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, trying to make that sliding catch in the third inning that killed them. I mean, it was a 75.6 mile per hour hit from Dalton Varsho down the line. Teoscar Hernandez, he tries to dive and make a play that he had no chance making, and it turns what could have been a double, single maybe, into a triple. And that turned into the third run of the night for Toronto. And that's another thing you need to see tomorrow. Can you get an early lead to take some pressure off of your offense, to allow your offense to get a lead for your pitcher? I mean, that has to be the hope. And hopefully it can happen early like we saw in Toronto. And you look at that play by Teoscar. Let's be honest. Teoscar Hernandez, he really has no business being a starting right fielder, especially in the postseason for the Dodgers. And that play led to a big run. And when your offense is struggling like that, one run feels like 1,000 runs. And that really set him back in a major way. And on the flip side, you look at that catch by Addison Barger in the 6th inning when Shohei Ohtani hit a 117.3 mile per hour laser that Barger made a great play on. He dove for it. It was a backhanded play. I mean, just compare the defense for the Blue Jays to the defense for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, Ned Colletti talked about it for a long time. Presentation. And the presentation is just how you do everything overall. The small things become big things. And that was magnified in the Dodgers Game 5 loss. It was the Teoscar Hernandez play. You had a couple double plays you didn't make. Mookie Betts makes a sloppy play. And then the wild pitches. You saw Blake Snell throw 2 wild pitches. And then Edgardo Henriquez, he throws a wild pitch that led to a run for the Jays' 2-run 7th inning. So, yeah, I mean, and another thing I want to talk about, too, is everyone talking about punting the regular season and this and that because you want to have a healthy roster. Hey, well, guess what? You won just 93 games, and now you're because of 93 games and the Blue Jays won 94, and because the Dodgers choked that Sunday game in August away to the Blue Jays, you got to go on the road. And that sets you back. So let's not forget that, too. That the Dodgers were in a position where they really should have home field advantage in this series, but instead are on the road. But I do think ultimately that could be a good thing. The Dodgers, most of their World Series titles haven't won on the road. They haven't won a World Series at home since 1963 when they swept the New York Yankees. So, yeah, I mean, this could end up being a good thing. But I absolutely agree. Is the sloppy play from the Dodgers, you just need to not try to be a hero out there. And Teoscar Hernandez is trying to be a hero. You got to let that ball in front of you and just make the smart play. And that we're not seeing that. We're just not seeing that. Hitting into double plays, not turning double plays, 3 wild pitches. It's not. The Dodgers look like they're doing their impression of the 2024 New York Yankees. So I don't know if this is karma for all the Dodger players and Joe Kelly and Chris Taylor talking crap about that Yankee team, which I'm totally for, but they're looking like the team that's making the mistakes. That they're looking like the less savvy team in this series. Some more super chats. Thank you. We got Savage made y'all look silly. Get out of here. We don't care about what you have to say. But thanks for getting the numbers up. We had some Blue Jays fans. Yeah, the Blue Jays fans were chanting "Oh Canada," and that was interesting. And the one more win. We'll see how this ends up. Well, we will see how this ends up. But yeah, talk that talk up 3-2. But LA is the city of champions for a reason. I gave my batting lineup out earlier, D-Mac. That's from Paul Gutierrez. The only guys out of the pen that should be the youngsters. I want to know why Ben Kasparius is not on this roster. D-Mac, can we see Hyeseong Kim? Look, it's a nice thought. If you want to be extremely radical, Hyeseong Kim could be in there, especially because you have a righty-heavy lineup. I think that Kim against Kevin Gausman, I mean, just imagine how tough of a position that would be for a rookie that has not faced big league hitting for over a month now to be thrusted into Game 6 of the World Series in their house going up against Kevin Gausman. That'd be a tough matchup, to say the least, and one that all my sources say that's not even under any consideration. And I don't want to live in dreamland with you guys. I mean, anytime I talk about something, it's because there's at least a 1% chance of that happening. So it's an interesting thought, and I love all your takes, and I'll read them out. But I can tell you that when the lineup drops tomorrow, you will not see Hyeseong Kim in that lineup unless there's an injury. I mean, that's the only way that you would see that. We've got D-Mac, thank you for all your content all year. Thanks, Ellis Shiva Jones. I appreciate that. Jose, Gausman pumps no fear in anyone. Get this first win from Alex Renteria. I hope to obtain Scooble. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about that. Technically, it'll be Dodgers in 8. What up, Philip Subia? Spectacular says 2017 also had Game 6 on Halloween. Dick Mount on the mound, hoping the Dodgers win both 6 and 7. Keep those fingers crossed. We've got it's only fun. It's all fun and games. Drake Kendrick. Game 7, let's do this. The first up is the base stealer who gets on. Dodgers get blown out 11-3. Teo in left. Yeah, we'll do a show tomorrow, so hold those predictions. Let's go, Yoshi. Rob, get Los, you Blue Jay bot. All right, couple more here, guys, and we'll let you go to sleep because it is 12:26 in the morning. We got Dodgers win tomorrow. Couple more. Jay Rosales, Dodgers win. We've got our twin butterfly. Make some of these guys bunt and play small ball. BC Mariners stars hit well except for Rosarena. We've got don't pitch Shohei tomorrow. Do everything to win tomorrow. Then Shohei starts Game 7 and pray pitches like Game 2 of the World Series. Randy Johnson. Ride or die with Shohei, Dave. Yeah, I like that. Yamatorta from Jose Aguirre. And we've got Winford Congoto. I like it. D-Mac, hit me the LA sign before I go to bed. D-Mac, let's go Dodgers, win in 7. I like that. Dodgers in 7, but that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Join us tomorrow morning for another episode. We'll preview Game 6. I'm going to drop my interview with super agent Scott Boras. We talked a little bit about Cody Bellinger. I also talked to him after the interview about Cody Bellinger. So, the offseason is not here, so we won't focus too much on the offseason. Hopefully 2 more games to play. But that is going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell if you want to support every single episode. Hit the like button. Drop a comment down below. Subscribe to the LA Sports Report and join our Discord. And most importantly, remember that nothing, absolutely nothing, brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball.